welcome to the one-on-one with Kamedupe.
That's why they close. They quickly take their uniform off because they are vulnerable.
There is no way, from the layman's point of view.
Thank you very much, to come and do their wire fell down and their what the R V in mafia manager called the Capone the Titikapi became a worse godfather than every other.
To TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.
Now, adoption is a process whereby a person assumes the role of parenting of another, usually a child. Here in Africa, many children are orphaned, but parents are not enthusiastic about the idea of adoption. Another hurdle to face is the emotional and cultural challenges willing parents face on the journey of adopting a child. This morning, I am Elise. We are going to be discussing the stigma of adoption in Nigeria, if it's really a thing. Do well to drop all of your comments and part of the conversation, and let's see where we go from there. Ladies, good morning once more. Well, adoption. While we're talking about it, we've actually talked about this, and now we're hearing sets. It's adoption a Nigerian thing. Do you feel like people are aware of the fact that they can take another child and make that child their own? Because according to research, 1 out of 10 Nigerian parents actually thinks of adopting, not even going through the process in itself. So it's adoption a Nigerian thing?
I would say, first of all, that I do not think the awareness for adoption is created that much in Nigeria. You would find that many families do not first think of adoption as an option. They begin to check what is wrong with them, what can they do about the child. But you can actually go out there and adopt a child, and I feel that there's no awareness that has been created in particular for people who want to adopt children. So what usually happens is people are laid back because the society may respond like, why are you adopting a child? You don't know where the child is from. You don't know his cultural background. And then we are very traditional people in these parts of the world, and so we usually tend to respond differently and say, anything can go wrong, or that tends to bring fetishness into the whole thing. So we are not really well informed or educated about the adoption.
Joyce,
from what I've known from living life is the fact that Nigerians actually adopt a lot. They just don't know what the English meaning of adoption means. They're going through the legal channels that the Western world has introduced us. Like, let's go to the East, for example, now. When you have a child, right, you can name your child after somebody in your family, and that person has to take that child from you. I think it's called Obom or something in the East. Let's say you're a family member. I have a child. I named the child Neki. It is your duty to come to my house and carry Neki to your house and train Neki. Or there are other ones where you name somebody names their child after their grandparents. So somebody else has to come and carry that child and say that I am taking care of my father, or I am taking care of your mother. So that person, that child, is seen as the physical representation of that grandparent or that parent. Or yes, when the child is named after you, the child is officially. I have an uncle that has 3 children, and the 3 children are named after I and my 2 siblings. And my sister has to send money.
Do you send
to
money?
The one that I don't get. My sister has to send money to the one that's named after her. So I feel like we know the concept, but the legal brand new day one that we see where you have to go and fill documents and stuff is still a bit shaky to Nigerians.
Okay, now the UNICEF says that one of the reasons why adoption should be acknowledged and should be practiced is because it helps for child abuse. It reduces child abuse. It also reduces human trafficking. Now the children, they are kept in homes, in quote, foster homes, that we create an environment that would grow them. So adoption, we've already said, okay, fine, it's a Nigerian thing in a way, but we don't really go through the legal process. But why do people still frown at it? Why is it not blown? I had a scenario, or I was privileged to be in a conversation, and I know this nurse, she had not given birth for like 13 years. She adopted. We woke up one morning and we saw her with a baby. Now I was literally happy and indifferent about it because I felt like it was high time she had, you know, a child or something. But people were like, why should go adopt now? Picking where she no, you know, those things as such, and it was a lot on her because she started regretting the decision of taking the child and the like. So even if we know that we kind of practice adoption, why is it not still accepted in society?
There's a general mindset in our society that if it is not your blood, you cannot ascertain how the child would behave. So people tend to frown at it and feel like, you know, you don't know the child. I feel it's us being traditional in a way. You know, now she gave an example of the Igbo society that adopts someone from their family. They don't have a problem with that. As far as the person is in the family, do you understand? They're practicing a form of adoption, but people don't know that.
That's
now,
kingship
exactly.
adoption.
So it's inside
Yes.
the family. Now, people are frown at it because you're going out there and you're adopting someone you don't know, you don't have any affiliations with. I read an article and it was about Joker. Still, apparently she was adopted by her foster mother and father, and she kept saying that the need for people to do these things is very important, as she wasn't stigmatized. But while she was adopted, the family frowned at it and said they don't understand why their sister went out there to adopt a child that she has no knowledge about or where it comes from. So I feel that what happens most times is that people frown at it because, first of all, the knowledge gap is there. They don't really understand that adopting a child doesn't have to do with any fetishness, any traditional connections. It has to do with you being a good person and reaching out to get someone.
Joyce, do you feel that there's a lot of issues? Because you talked about kingship adoption. So do you feel like if they would stretch out of the kindred, would it pose as a problem?
I think, you know, I guess they don't have the conversation. Shame still has a big role to play. Nigerians do not like having honest conversations, and it's a big problem. People treat infertility like it's a curse, like it's a curse that happens to a few horrible people. There's so many people that are battling with infertility in Nigeria and they have no idea. Even when you go to churches or you go to the fertility clinic, you see women that are there because they think that they're barren. It could be that their husband has low sperm count, but they do not want to have those conversations. There was a study that shows that 1 in 4 men is training children that do not belong to them, because instead of having to come out and say that, you know, there is infertility in this family, the woman would rather just go outside and get pregnant and produce children. So when people see that you have gone out to adopt, maybe because you couldn't have children, or you couldn't have a particular gender, or because you want to grow a big home, it's like you've done an abominable act. Like, so you mean this person is barren? When a lot of people are dealing with infertility, but just the same way we pretend that we're not having sex, we also have to pretend that people are not out there struggling with infertility. So it's a thing of shame. It's like you're ashamed that you're going through these health issues and you can't have children, so you're going out. Or it's a thing of shame that, oh, you didn't have this gender, so you're a failed woman or you're a failed man because you cannot produce a male child or a female child. Or you feel like you have too much money, that's why you already have children and you're going to collect more children. So we need to be able to have honest conversations.
Now you talked about having children and going to collect in quotes more children. Is it actually bad in the sense that you have children and then you go adopt more children? And then people used to say that, talking about the children, the adopted children itself, research has shown that a lot of them struggle with trying to find their place in the home, or their fitting. They feel like they are misfits. First things first, first of all, the idea of my father or my biological father and mother abandon me, and then I have to be in a home whereby I don't even understand if I am accepted or not. So it's a whole lot. Do you feel that adopted children needs to even go through all of that stress?
I would say, first of all, if anybody goes out there to adopt a particular child, then it's your duty to make the child feel accepted. because you do not want to take, first of all, being in an orphanage home here is already dealing with a lot of things. Probably they're not taking care of them well, they have their feeding problems, they have acceptance, they already feel that their parents have rejected them and, you know, did not want to accept them. So if you go out there and adopt a child, then you should make the child feel accepted. You shouldn't make the child feel uncomfortable being around you, because we already know, you already put yourself and say that, you know that you have done adoption, and the society we are in tend to frown at it. You have to put a protective arm around the child that you are adopting. And then another thing I believe that could be done is that there's a whole lot of responsibility for the society to be well informed. If you can take a cousin from the village, a distant cousin from the village, and I believe there's nothing wrong with, you know, accepting children that are adopted. They have issues to deal with, they have, you know, acceptance issues to deal with. You have to be looking out for them to help them be better.
Joyce?
Foster children are special. Especially when you get them in like their teens, when they've come into themselves and they're fully aware. You know, it's easier to deal with babies or toddlers. They probably don't even remember that they had a parent before you, so it's easier. But, you know, psychology says that the first thing the most important feeling a person wants in life is importance.
Yes.
If you can make a person feel important, you can get them to almost do literally anything for you. Now, children that have come into themselves that know that, you know, their parents abandoned them are already dealing with abandonment issues. And there isn't really much you can do in the beginning stage to make them feel good. They have to grow into it. It's a constant process. It's a constant reminder. They're not just going to meet you and say, this woman is taking me, so she must love me, so I should be excited. They already feel like, you know, there's something wrong with them. So it's a whole process. It's a long process to get that child to feel like, you know, their parents leaving them was not their fault. So there isn't really a one technique that we could say, apply this and, you know, your child will feel loved, or do this and the child will feel less loved. But people need to be able to not treat their adopted children like second options. Now, there was this one woman that was in the faculty that when I was in school, she had this really beautiful daughter that we all loved, really, really cute. And then one day, we stopped seeing the girl. And the next time we saw the girl, she was with a different man, and she was dressed rather shabbily. Now, apparently what happened was that the woman was unable to have children at some point, so she adopted that child from the child's parents as a baby. And the child was now 6 years old. She now got pregnant, and she gave the child back.
Wow.
She gave back the child that has known only her as her mother. Because, you know, adopted people have already seen adopted children as the second option.
They even see adoption in itself as
so this is a whole child now that is having to deal with the fact that she grew up in a home with plenty and one mother and one father. To go back to a home when they probably have like 4 or 5 siblings that she immediately now has, and she now has to deal with the fact that she was probably abandoned twice. Already her birth parents let her go, and then the adopted mother let her go as well. There's the emptiness that child is going to have to deal with. So people need to understand that you cannot treat the adopted child as a second option. You chose that child because you wanted that child. It is not a backup. Some say, if you don't have a child, go and adopt, so that if you take care of and well, God will come see you, come bless you with your own.
Is that a myth or something? You guys should debunk it.
I don't get where it comes from. I think, like I say, we are very traditional in this country. It is a big problem. The fact that we are religiously traditional is a big problem. Many of the things we practice are just our people say, and then no knowledge base, the knowledge gap is just far apart. Now, people don't know that adopted children turn out many times to be wonderful children. They are children. They are people that you can bring close and make them feel special and better about their life. Now, you need to debunk the idea that you need to be good, then God will not bless you. And then, do you understand? Like, if you don't give back, you will not get back. You know, that's the notion. I have heard stories of, gather children around you so that you can give birth, be taking care of them very well. It's a notion. We need to debunk certain traditional ideas and actually understand how things work, and not just, you know, talk about things. And I believe that it's because of the way our society is. Our society has made us feel like, you know, we grew up hearing these things, we grew up believing these things, and if we did not pull ourselves out of this kind of ideologies, we will be thinking the same way. So many people have grown up and this is what they've always said, this is what they've always heard, this is the mindset that has been created for them. So as a result, that's the way it's supposed to be. You should not adopt a child. You should do it like this. If you do this one, then God will bless you. I mean, you mentioned how a pastor actually said you need to pray.
Yeah, she was preaching in church. Why are you going to adopt a child? You don't have the fruit of the womb. You cannot pray. You want to go and adopt a foreign spirit into your home.
I mean,
and there's a whole congregation that is feeding off of this knowledge, and they are going to pass it down to more people, and the stigma keeps growing and growing and growing. A lot of reorientation has to be done. The mindset that we have is skewed when it comes to adoption, and more agencies have to take out time to educate these people. And then, you also mentioned that the process of adoption is quite difficult. Over a year, you can be applying to adopt a child. And I understand where the agencies are coming from. You can't just take a child into a home. You need to study the family. You need to study their finances, how they treat the child. You have to make sure that if you're picking a child out of the status quo that they know, you're bringing them into another stable environment. And the thing with this is that they have to do tests, medical tests, make sure the child doesn't have anything, your family doesn't have anything. Because of this problem, a lot of people have to go through baby making factories because it doesn't take that long. All you have to do is pay and you collect a baby. Now you can collect a baby with illnesses that you can't even deal with, things that are in their genes, babies that don't even know what they're going through. And when you buy a baby, you have to have maybe falsified that you were pregnant for a while. Why would you want to be a criminal to get a child when you can just go through the right route?
And even when you go through the legal process, at the end of the day, you know who you can hold accountable to in case anything goes wrong as regards the child, and the child too is accountable to an agency that, okay, I came through this is the legal form. And even in the Nigerian law, they say that for you to adopt a child, you have to be 21 years older as a parent. Singles cannot adopt. Same-sex marriage cannot adopt.
Singles can adopt, but they have to be 35 years old. 35
years old. But you can't, in some cases, you can't adopt an opposite sex because of child abuse.
Same-sex.
Except your reasons are pure. But coming to think about it, the myth surrounding adoption in Nigeria is so strong. You guys raised really valid point. And so what do you think people watching can do about adoption? What light should they start seeing adoption in? We've talked about how people see infertility as a problem. And so if you cannot really deal with it, adoption should be like the last option that should ever occur to you. So what are the things people should actually start dealing with? And how should they even see parents that adopt children?
Well, for starters, I feel like if you're going to adopt, familiarize yourself with people that have done it. The easiest way to market is word of mouth. So you're probably not going to want to try out a product if you don't know a person that has tried it out. Not like I'm calling children products, but it is easier for you to have a feel of the system if you meet a family that have done it. Many people, when they want to go into foster care, they meet other foster parents and they say, look, this is what you have to deal with, these are the struggles, these are the advantages. If more people that have adopted come out and say that this, some people hide it, they have adopted children, then they deny that their children are adopted. So if more people that have dealt with adoption come out and speak more about the favors of actually going out there and adopting these children, many more people would want to join. But because it is believed that it's such a thing that is so far, like people don't do it, they know they do this kind of thing, more people are afraid. So I think people that have participated in adoption should speak out, talk more about it. Let's begin to kill the stigma that is attached to adoption.
I would say that there should be a complete mindset change. People should get educated about it. Now, the article I saw about Joke Silva, when she opened up and said she was adopted and she had an amazing family, was an awareness program for adoption. You know, such programs should be done more often down to the grassroots. Do you understand? Not just up high there, you know, even to the grassroots. There is nothing wrong with adoption, and a child that you actually adopt is your child legally. It's not your adopted child, it's your child. Do you understand? It's just so that people may know it's your child. You are saying this person is my child. I take full responsibility, whatever has to do with this child, I am going to keep doing it. So our mindset needs to be completely changed. We need to be well informed, well educated about the whole process of adoption, and that there is no bad stigma to adopting a child. And then also we need to grow in our way of handling people. Now, I believe that if you have value for human life, you will not downgrade an adopted child. You would just actually love everybody equally. And I'm not saying that it's possible to love everybody equally or like everybody equally. I'm saying that that general acceptance that comes with valuing people will make you not say, who is this one? Or are you adopted? Do you understand? You would actually accept people the way you are supposed to accept people.
Well, before you take the comment, I was going to ask a question about that story you told us.
It really hurt you.
Yeah,
Your feelings since then. It was crazy.
Did the adopted mother, did she go through the legal process?
No,
Were you aware of the fact
she
that
met a person that had a lot of children, and she was like, make I just take one. So she took one when she was a baby.
There was no legal process.
Obviously not.
There was no
Obviously not, because
Obviously not. She just took the child from the parents,
and I think
then
I thought like if there was a legal process,
she
would
would
not
not
have
have
been able to
yes,
return the
yes.
child because she gave birth.
I feel like a lot of people want to return their adopted children when they have biological children, because you see when a particular child, like the oldest child in the family, is being maltreated, and then you hear say, they be adopted one, but God can't give them their own. So now why that one day like that? So I think those ones went through the legal means, so they couldn't actually just return the child. So they just started treating the child badly because it wasn't their own. But she didn't. I don't think she went through all of that. She just took a child from a poor family that had too many children they couldn't take care of, so they gave her one of the children.
And
so when she gave the child right back.
Okay.
And I believe that it's also the notion of do the goodwill and God will bless you thing that she did. And so while she took care of it, the Lord blessed her and she had to return the child. Anyways, we have a few comments. I should take them. Mr. Izwage says, lovely conversation. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning,
you guys
Mr.
are doing perfectly well. Love the way you guys are handling this topic. And then Aiba Bebra says, help the homes cater for the children if you care. If you want a child, be a parent before you adopt. Yeah.
That's
really
it. I would love to go on and on, but we have to call it a day on the breakfast show this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for letting us come into your home this morning. For you to be a good parent, just learn about adoption, get knowledge about it. And the people that have adopted around you, don't treat them like they are not part of the society. Remember that human lives are of value. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time where we're going to be introducing a new segment of the show on the breakfast show. It's called Loud Thoughts. Now, Loud Thoughts, it's where you're going to be dropping all of the things you want we the ladies on the breakfast show to attend to you. But the catch is, you have to go to our YouTube channel at tslnigeria.tv and drop your questions, and we will pick at random and attend to them. My name is Zaki Moyo. We'll be here same time tomorrow for another engaging conversation. Do well to have yourself a lovely day and be productive. Good morning.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.